Hey, what's up guys? It's Robert Rule of 2 Review here, and today, Infamous Second Son moves major units. Okay, so color me really surprised with this one, and I'm definitely going to say pleasantly so. This is not a story that I initially thought I would ever talk about, especially anticipating how the sales of Infamous would have been before hearing so. For a couple of reasons. One is that although I'm a huge Sony fan and I love PlayStation, which I've said many times in the videos, I've yet to get really excited about the PlayStation 4. Not because I don't know that great games are going to be coming and probably before the year's out. Well, maybe even after the new year. Some point soon, basically. I know I'm going to need to get one because there's going to be a bunch of games that I'm going to have to play. So there's that. And then the fact that honestly, I'm not the biggest Infamous fan. Even though I played the first game and I really liked it for most of it, and then it kind of fell apart a little bit at the end for me, but it was still certainly a fun game. I wanted to try the second. I heard pretty good things about it, but I never got to touch it. And so, you know, feeding into that whole idea of whether or not I see the PlayStation 4 as worth it right now or not, part of the reason I haven't yet found it worth it is because I think Infamous Second Son, while it looks pretty darn good, and I know that I'll probably enjoy playing it, it hasn't really been seen as, to me, a system seller, even to a Sony and a PlayStation fan. It's the first and only big exclusive pretty much AAA title for the system, which is great. I'm glad that it got this game. I'm glad that the game is supposed to be very good. A lot of people I know and really good friends of mine who I trust really, really like the game, who have PlayStation 4s also. So I have nothing bad to say about it. I've only heard pretty much good things about it. But for some reason, it just hasn't been grabbing me, hasn't been selling me. So I'm going to get into the particulars here of exactly why I found this news interesting and something that I wanted to talk about today, because while I never saw this kind of good news coming for this kind of game that I wasn't too jazzed about, I have to admit that I'm pleasantly surprised at what happened. So the long and the short of it is that Infamous has sold really well, way better than I could have ever expected. And because of that, the result was actually a lot more PS4s being sold too. So that's kind of the interesting and honestly pretty darn cool thing, that this game not only did well for itself and for its own series, which I'm going to get into in a moment, but it also moved units. I did not see this being that kind of game, although I have a theory as to why. So as far as what the game has done, it was revealed about a week or so ago that the global sales, not the domestic US sales, but the global sales of Infamous hit 1 million copies within only 9 days. So just over a week it took for that game to sell 1 million copies worldwide. Apparently, according to this news, that is the fastest selling Infamous game. And that's pretty good. There isn't a whole lot of Infamous games to choose from. But I got to tell you, by the time the first Infamous came out, I mean, it was a couple years into the PS3's life cycle, and the PS3 had gotten over its first year, probably 2-year slump initially out of the gate where it really wasn't doing very well. And by that point, it makes sense for a well-reviewed, highly anticipated game to come out and sell really well because there's a lot of units and people supporting that system at that time. The PlayStation 4 is really new. It's only a few months old, six months old actually, as of just a couple of days from now. And yes, it's broken records and how fast it's sold, and it's been doing really well for itself within a 6-month period. But still, it's only sold about 6 million units. So there's only 6.5 million PlayStation 4s out there. And for this, and that's worldwide, by the way. And for this game to sell this many units this fast for a franchise that was established but not super popular, it just blows my mind. And it's a good thing. I'm really glad. It's interesting because I started this video off just now telling you that I really haven't been super excited for the game, even though I know I will probably like it when I do play it. I'm not like, I never was running out to go get it or get a PlayStation 4 for it. But that being said, the last probably 2 weeks or so, and like all this time since the game came out, it's slowly been kind of growing on me. At least I should say, the desire to play it has been growing on me, and I really cannot tell you why. This news isn't really a factor in that. I think I even was kind of deciding that before this news came out. But in talking to some people, some family members and friends that have really been liking it, I don't know. It's just been slowly. It's a game that I've been realizing that I do want to play a little bit more than I initially thought. Still hasn't convinced me to run out and buy a PlayStation 4 just yet, but I'm certainly slowly considering it. Like I said, I'm just glad to hear that the game in and of itself did really well and that people like it and that it's the most successful game, within its own franchise. That is just shocking news, so brand new for a system that is so brand new. Now, the other cool thing is that because of the sales of this game in the UK, PlayStation 4 sales went up 106%. Holy freaking crap. That is absolutely insane. I mean, it's awesome. But I never saw that coming. This game has performed better than Titanfall by all accounts, and I'm really shocked because I think the hype was bigger for Titanfall. I will absolutely admit that Titanfall is a game I am much more excited to play than Infamous, but at the same time, like I said, that was the game that people were really hyped for, was Titanfall, and that was going to be the system seller for the Xbox One, and the PC version is supposed to be so fantastic, and the 360 version just came out a couple of days ago from this recording, and I think that to find out that Infamous, a lower profile game, technically, even though if it's a series, this is a lower profile game, I think, than Titanfall was, sold so much better. And in one of the 3 major territories on the planet, shot the sales of the PlayStation 4 up 106%. That's amazing. There are no numbers for the Xbox One supporting that kind of success for Titanfall. That's just nowhere near that. And I thought it was going to be, honestly, the opposite. I thought we'd see a small spike in sales for the PS4 for Infamous and a huge spike in sales for the Xbox One, and that really has not been the case. And that's a shame for the Xbox One and for Titanfall. I feel bad for Microsoft and the Xbox because they're really struggling with that thing, and I want to believe that it's going to be good. But hey, give it time. The Wii U struggled for a year, and it finally figures itself out slowly, and same with the Xbox One, I'm sure. But, to take the sales of the PlayStation 4 in the UK and just bolster it this much, it's really fantastic. Now, the one thing I do want to say, not to try to put a negative spin on it, but it's something that I'm still trying to figure out here, is maybe the reason that this game did see such success is because it's really the only game that's come out to play on the PlayStation 4, which was going to be the same with Titanfall. To be fair all around. And that was the same with Pikmin when that came out on the Wii U. Those 3 games for their 3 respective systems came out within the period of a drought of software. And so obviously those were all games that are going to convince people to start buying that hardware, the individual systems, Xbox One, Wii U, PlayStation 4. With a big game comes a reason to buy that system. So the fact that Infamous in and of itself kind of helped the sales of the PlayStation 4 way more than I or probably anybody anticipated, it's great news. But like I said, I think it's also a byproduct of the fact that so far there hasn't been a lot of games. It's typical. So I don't want to dog Sony or Microsoft for their systems, and I don't think you guys should too, because people love to jump on this kind of bandwagon. And you have to understand that these systems are brand new. They're only 6 months old, and every system, they are notorious for droughts during the launch. That's what happens. Every system will come out with maybe 1 or 2 games that are really pretty cool looking, hopefully exclusive. On the rare occasion do you get a smash hit launch title like Halo or Twilight Princess, Mario 64, stuff like that. Those are rare. Honestly, those are like the only 3 that you could name that have been absolutely huge games to launch with systems. So when you look at the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, they had nothing big to launch with at the time. That's just the way of it, and now we're in the drought. I firmly believe that by the end of the year, especially if Microsoft can really get Halo out this year, that they're going to be having games and stuff on that'll play before the end of the year for that. Sony, we have Infamous here. It's the first big game to come out for the system. Really successful, really popular. Has now made me really want to play it more than ever, like I said. The only game that I think we know of right now that we can kind of expect this year that's kind of high profile is The Order 1866. Or is it 1886? I think it's 1886. Either way, it's a year. So The Order is the only game we know of that's supposed to be coming out for 2014. And I think that they're shooting for that, but it's not confirmed. Just kind of like same with Halo 5. That game is slowly, the rumors are starting to have that game slip into next year, though nothing has been confirmed on either. I know that both The Order and Halo are being aimed at 2014, but they also both have rumors of slipping. So I guess we're going to see. I hope that both of those games come out this year because I want to. Halo 5, I'm dying to play. That shit I will be playing. Trust me, Rob is going to be down on Halo 5 once that comes out. The Order is a game that I'm not super hyped for right now, and I haven't loved anything I've seen yet, but I do believe that were it to come out and I hear that it's awesome, the engine is fixed, it's a very smooth, fun-playing game and kind of unique, I would be into it, and I would absolutely love to pick it up and play it. So that is a game that really, for me, the jury is just out on. However, my opinion aside, it's a pretty big game, and people who are Sony fans or own PlayStation 4s are looking forward to it because it's one of a few games we know kind of in the future and that we can at least have on our radar for the PlayStation 4, because right now there is nothing else on the radar. Yes, Uncharted was announced, but we don't know anything about it. And trust me, that game is very far away. Very, very far away. Although, I'm willing to bet we might see it at E3 this year. And that's going to be freaking awesome and huge for Sony if so. I'm going to cross my fingers on that one. But that aside, we don't know anything about anything else coming out exclusive-wise. Yes, Batman's coming out this year for next-gen stuff. And there is a next-gen version of Assassin's Creed coming out. We know Call of Duty is going to come out, maybe another Battlefield. Battlefront, I don't think is going to be this year, but we'll find out at E3 this year. And those are all really good games that I am certainly going to play and excited. Well, not Assassin's Creed, but excited to play, and I'm sure you are too. However, those are multi-platform. Those aren't system sellers. It's like, why would you buy one system for that game when you could buy it for any other system or any other game? And, good games, but not system sellers. It's the exclusives that define the character and identity of a system. I've said that before on previous videos, and I don't want to, repeat myself like I know I tend to do. My ideas tend to show up from one video to another because it's just the relevant topics that I talk about as I care about them. So it's going to be interesting to see, really what Infamous is the impact it's going to have in the long run. I hope that the game can become even more successful. I'd love to find out it sells at least 1 million in the US, because that's always a good barometer. We're the biggest, largest market in the video game industry. So whenever a game can cross 1 million sales in the US, that's pretty huge. I don't think that there's been a game for the Xbox One. I can try to sort of pull it up while I'm going here. I don't think that there's been a game for the Xbox One that has sold 1 million units in the US. And I know for the Wii U, I think both New Super Mario Brothers and Super Mario 3D World are the only games to sell 1 million in the US so far, nothing else. Super Mario 3D World might not have yet. And in fact, maybe Zombie U is the other one that has. But regardless, there's just not a lot of local domestic million selling units for any of the next gen systems yet. We have to give it some time. So like I said, it's really just gonna be a little bit of a wait and see game. If Infamous can be more successful, then awesome. I definitely want more games for that to in that series to come out if in fact they're good. Whenever I get a PlayStation 4, which with 100% certainty I will be getting one. I absolutely. Even though I said I'm not super jazzed about Infamous and I'm not running out to buy a PS4 yet, like I've said, I definitely am excited to own one eventually because I love Sony and I know the PlayStation 4 is a super quality system, just not a lot of good games yet. Oh, and one more thing before I end the video. I do want to bring up that there is the Last of Us remake that's coming out for the PlayStation 4 pretty soon. That's an interesting beast. I've toyed with making my own video about that, but I don't know if I'm going to have to. Ultimately, I think that is going to help the PlayStation 4 quite a bit as far as the game library. That is like a top 3 all-time game for myself. I just cannot say enough good things about it. I am completely on that bandwagon, and I am not ashamed to admit it. That game is that good, and the idea of playing a newer version of it on the PlayStation 4 is exciting, though I did see the launch trailer finally a couple days ago, and that trailer was really terrible. I'm so disappointed in that trailer, and it made me less excited for the game than if I had never watched it. I should have just not even thought about it and just waited and just gotten it. So now I don't know, but I think it's going to be a pretty big game to look forward to. Even though it's not a new game, at least it's another game that's going to make people excited, kind of like they did with the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition. So between that and Infamous, and if we get the order this year, it's going to be really interesting to see. But we also can't forget that E3 2014 is just around the corner, and who knows what could happen. Okay, guys, well, that's it for the Infamous and PlayStation 4 news for today. Pretty cool stuff. Didn't see any of it coming, but I'm really glad for Sony, for Sucker Punch, and for Infamous, and for the PlayStation 4 in general. There's lots of new content and stuff around the site. Mr. Chad's got some new Dark Souls 2 Let's Plays up. I'm going to be putting up some more Metroid Fusion Let's Plays from myself. We just did a super epic 3-person, hour-long review of Captain America the Winter Soldier. It's been a while since I was able to have some movie content on the site, so I was really excited to do that. Please check that out. Spoilers for the movie, but a lot of killer content and a lot of good theories about the Marvel Universe going forward. Evan and Sean, who do that with me, know their comics, they know their Marvel, so there's a lot of cool knowledge to kind of pull from and hear them sort of talk about when theorizing about what's going to happen with that going forward. But whatever, that's movie stuff. If you like this video, then you of course should feel free to subscribe to the channel Rule of 2 Review here. It really helps us out and helps me out big time, so please feel free to do that. And of course, you can also like and share the video, and you can share your comments and your thoughts about anything below. And thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, I will catch you next time.